Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Gaurav Shah from Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi. Today we are going to talk on module role conflicts professional versus personal under the paper Women, Media and Films. This module is structured to introduce you to the concept of different roles one has to play in life and the concept of conflict. After studying this module, you should be able to explain what the term role means, explain what the term conflict means, identify the different roles that women have to play in their lives, identify the processes of socialization which have shaped the women's social roles, identify and discuss the conflicts that could arise in their minds and lives when playing different roles, discuss the impact these conflicts have on women in media, and lastly, vice versa, the impact the media has on the resolution or igniting of the conflicts. Now, let me put you before the introduction part of the module. Till now, we have seen how the women have been depicted by media, how the women were believed to be in mythology, how they have been depicted in literature, and the rise of women as journalists, editors, and owners of media. But despite all this, you have also seen how patriarchy continues to dominate the society, and in spite of all the growth and development, there is status quo in most parts of our society. In this module, we are going to see that due to this status quo, the women are facing several problems. Though they have been encouraged to step out of their houses for their careers and professions, there is still that string that pulls them behind from their professions and careers because there is a conflict in different roles they play. Roles women plays. Role is the duties and responsibilities that a person takes on while interfacing with different social systems. As we can see, the figure shows women's interface with different social systems. The units at each of the platforms are women and society, neighbors, locality, friend circle, women and workplace, colleagues, boss, superboss, subordinates, superiors, women and family, in-laws, husband, children, parents, siblings. Any human being may be at the same time a parent of someone, a child of someone, a sibling of someone else, someone's friend, an employee elsewhere, someone's superior, someone's subordinate, and so on. When this interface is in relation to the home and society, we can say that it is a personal role. When the interface is related to the office and official requirements, then it is called the professional role. Professional roles. A woman working in the media can be a journalist, a camera person, an editor, an office assistant, a costume designer, a makeup artist, or a junior artist, a singer, a dancer, etc. These are her professional roles. She is required to be professional and she has to reach her workplace on time and have her work completed to show to her superiors. As a journalist, she is required to reach the sites wherever she has to report from, be it day or night, hot or cold. It is possible that a friend of hers is involved in the story she is covering. She has to forget that and cover the story. There is every possibility that she is required to be at home to put her children to sleep, but her professional role doesn't allow her to do so. There are several other such roles that a woman plays. She may be a teacher, she may be a lawyer, she may be a doctor, and she may be a technocrat. In each of these roles, she has specific responsibilities to fulfill. Personal role. At home, a woman is someone's daughter in law, someone's sister, than another person's sister in law. She may be a mother, an aunt, wife, and also the lady of a house. In all these roles, there are specific responsibilities she has to fulfill. As a daughter, she is supposed to look after her parents. As a daughter in law, she is supposed to look after her parents in law. It must be that all such locations are having physical distances to cover. Conflict, and where does it occur? Conflict may be said to be a struggle, contest between opposing needs, ideas, values, or goals of people. Let us take the example of two friends in a school. Being in different sections, both were toppers of their classes. But as they were promoted to higher classes, the sections were reduced to a single class. Now both had the goal of becoming the topper of the class, and this is where conflict occurs. Role conflict, meaning and characteristics. Is it fair to think we can slip into just one of these roles when doing a specific task? Hardly. We are an accumulation of all our experiences, past and present, and how we react to life is determined by this shaping. Let me discuss some case studies with you. The first case study is uh, there is a girl or a woman named Sunita. Sunita works as an office assistant in a public sector bank in Chandigarh. She is considered to be a good worker, and so all her superiors look for her whenever they have to give some dictation and typing work. Suresh had also joined the bank at the same day, but he shirked from work and preferred to move around listening, loitering, and chatting. Ultimately, most of the work landed up on Sunita's table, and she would do it efficiently. After a few years, she was recommended for promotion, but the bank policy said that one had to change station on a promotion, and she was posted to Delhi, which was a matter of envy for all her other colleagues. But, but to the surprise, Sunita was not happy as she should have been. Why? If she moved, the reason was if she moved to Delhi, what would happen to her children who were studying in a good school in Chandigarh? And if she left her mother in law behind, then who would look after her? Her husband, Rathore, had absolutely no idea of his mother's requirements. He would not be able to do the cooking, and even if a cook was hired for the home, Rathore didn't have the patience to get the children to do their homework. They would not be able to cope without her. That is why, when Rathore was posted to Jalandhar, there had been no problem. But with Sunita's transfer, things were different. What do you think she should do? Linda gets up early morning, 4 a.m. every day. She has to make the tiffin for her two sons studying in the second and fourth standard in school. After she does the cooking, she wakes up the boys, which usually is a time taking affair. They do not like getting up so early, but the bus comes at 6 a.m. and she cannot afford that they miss it. If they miss the bus, she would have to reach them to school, and this would mean an extra 1 hour to drop them. Linda is a marketing executive in a media house, and her client had given her appointment in the first hour itself. What should she do? Let the children sleep and be in time for her appointment, or wake the children up and be late for her appointment. She has to make food for her in laws, and that too before she leaves for work. Tabassum is an Ayurveda doctor. Her husband, who is also a doctor, wanted her to do her MBA so that they could manage a polyclinic together. She won the gold medal for MBA on returning home after completing her business studies. She appeared for the Teachers' National Eligibility Test and was awarded the UGC Fellowship. Sabnam joined research for PhD in the Banaras Hindu University. Her family lived 30 kilometers away from the university, which took her over 2.5 hours one way of travel. She was not allowed to reside in the university hostel because she had to do the household chores also. When there were academic seminars and conferences, Tabassum was never able to participate because of her work at home. She was always reprimanded on this, and her research work began to suffer. At the same time, when she returned after the long day's work, the in laws at home would sarcastically say that she has finally reached home after having enjoyed herself out, she better do some housework. She was in a dilemma due to the two roles she had to play, one as the research fellow and the other as the daughter in law come wife. A study conducted recently examined the conflict that married women experienced between their work and personal roles in family and analyzed how they cope. The data obtained from 82 professional women from six research institutes established that married women experienced work family conflict with varying degrees in trying to meet the expectations of work and family roles. In managing the work family conflict, the women tried to cope by 1. Reactive role behavior, and 2. Personal role definition by modifying their own attitudes and perceptions of the role expectations. These two strategies are generally adopted than structural role expectation, which means changing the expectations of members in the role, such as family members, colleagues, and leaders at the workplace and society. The implications of these findings for working women are that the surrounding does not change. One has to undertake steps to adjust and redefine one's role to survive and be successful. Did you know? Hall's 1972 model of coping with role conflicts was found to be useful in analyzing the coping behavior of a focal person experiencing work family role conflict. Did you know? Hall's 1972 model of coping with role conflict was found to be useful in analyzing the coping behavior of a focal person experiencing work family role conflict. In the end, the study states the following conclusions. The married working women experience work family conflict in trying to meet the expectations of work and family roles. In managing the conflict arising from the expectations of multiple roles, the women tended to cope through reactive role behavior and personal role definition more than structural role definition. Hall's 1972 model of coping with role conflict was found to be useful in analyzing the coping behavior of a focal person experiencing work family role conflict. One of the implications of the prevalence of work family conflict among married working women is that women will need assistance in terms of facilities, education, and advisory and support services in trying to cope with the conflict. The extension planners need to consider the problems in managing multiple roles among dual career families when planning non formal educational programs. Family development practitioners should be responsive to dual career families in need of assistance in managing work family conflict. A knowledge of various coping strategies and their consequences is essential. Family development educators concerned with effective management of contemporary family stressors are encouraged to include more extensive coverage of the work family interface in the curriculum. Acknowledging that married working women experience work family conflict, it is pertinent that employers and policymakers pay special attention to improve the welfare of employees through improved facilities and support services such as day care on site, flex time, and 90-day maternity leave to help them cope with their multiple roles. Besides, employers, policymakers, extension planners, and family development practitioners and educators, husbands also have a role to play since spousal support is a crucial variable for the reduction of inter-role conflict for working women. It is important that researchers concerned with the problems of married career women avoid seeing the problem of work in isolation from the total life space of women. Another stream of research that warrants continued investigation is that of role conflict experienced by other groups of working women and their coping behavior, and how organizations can facilitate the development of individual coping strategies through human resource development programs. Further research concerning work family conflict needs to address the manipulation of organizational policies to reduce the strain produced by dual roles of the home and work environments. Researchers need to investigate adjustments made by organizations which actually reduce the stresses arising from the mutual demands of the work and family domains. Some of the activities which could be undertaken to find resolution in role conflict of personal and profession are: number A, share your problems with some of your colleagues whom you trust and friends who would always be there for you. One needs to be careful in choosing friends and colleagues whom to confide. If not, then a lot juicy gossips may be spread. Number B, have patience and calm. One should not vent one's frustrations in the workplace. One should be in control of oneself. It would not be a bad idea if one gets or at least pretends to be busy. This will help one to divert the attention to something else other than his or her problems. Number C. As said in point number 2, one should all one should not send mail and have personal calls made or received in the office. As during the course of conversation, one should not burst out and give out some impressions to others about the problems that one is facing. It would not be a bad idea to take some days off from work, as unhappiness and problems may affect the performance. A break may help one to get back to oneself. One may also have a sharing session with one's superior. This will definitely create an understanding between the two and hence the low productivity and performance. Mediation, an approach to problem solving. In offices and in workplaces, many times mediation is undertaken to find solutions for various types of conflicts. The mediators may be from within the organization or from outside. A mediator may be known or may be unknown, but many a time mediation becomes the key to solve a problem or a conflict. There are various types of mediations. We may discuss them here. Let us discuss, let me tell you an interesting fact. Mediation as an activity first came to the fore in ancient times. According To historians, the practice first developed in Greece and then in Rome. The Romans would call mediators by different names like medium, intercessor, interpolator, interlocutor, interpres, mediator, etc. In some culture, a mediator was sent as a sacred figure. Members of many communities had a tradition of bringing disputes before someone with good name and credentials. This method was especially rife in sects of Buddhists and Confucians. Problem solving mediation. The approach in problem solving mediation is very structured. It is directive and moves from one step to the next in linear fashion. The mediators have full control on the movement and pace of the solution. Then settlement is agreed upon by all. Transformative mediation. This approach believes in giving equal importance to all the members and thereby empowers all the aggrieved parties. It gives importance to process rather than the outcome. Hence, the solutions evolve and everyone is roped into participation. The solution becomes more natural. The outcome is never forced on an individual. Did you know transformative mediation was first articulated by Robert A. Bush and Joseph P. Folger in The Promise of Mediation in 1994? Stages of conflict. The industrial sector many a time follow this method of solution. It believes that any conflict or problem passes through stages such as discomfort, incident, misunderstanding, tension, and crisis. The superior must be always alert and identify the problem and nip it in bud. It must not be allowed to move to the last stage or the point of crisis. Crisis is always hard to solve. Complex conflict. This type of mediation suggests that the problem is to be mapped through a sketch which should clearly depict the issue, players, concerns, or needs and concretize the needs. The mapping really helps. Currently, many women pursue careers while having a family. The women, after having obtained adequate education qualifications, are becoming professionals since they want to pursue both their family life as well as the career. They therefore are constrained to strike a balance between the two. Work family conflict has become a natural issue for the careerist woman. Many methods have been tried out to solve this problem, but a satisfying compromise has yet to be reached by all the parties. The concept that has surfaced in this sharing is that flexibility will have to be the key. The family members, the colleagues at the workplaces, the superiors, and the women employees themselves will have to be open to adjustments without compromising the quality of the performance and the quantum of work. A golden point of convergence of the interest of all parties will have to be arrived at. One must have an open mind and ability to listen to others will bring in that flexibility. So, students, let us now summarize what we have learned in this module. A working woman is always faced with the challenge of balancing her personal and professional roles. While in her professional role, she has to take care of her family members and children if she has any. She has to cope with the pressure of meeting deadline and produce quality work in her professional role. According to the studies, it has been found that women, married women in particular, experience work family conflict with varying degrees in trying to meet the expectations of work and family roles. The conflict, though, can be solved if people from both family, and office understand the kind of challenges a working woman faces and show flexibility in dealing with her. Many companies use different mediation methods to help women in solving these conflicts. Women should also take certain steps and find a middle path to keep their family as well as professional life afloat. Thank you.